Everyone back from lunch? Yeah? Everybody enjoyed the burritos? Cool. Do you guys like the sponsor lecture this morning? Yeah. Okay, you guys excited to learn more React today? Yeah. Okay, that wasn't bad. I'll take it. I was expecting to make you guys. What? That wasn't a good reaction. No one laughed. See, no one laughs at your puns, Ryan. This is why I don't make puns. Okay, first things first, we're going to do a little review of what we did yesterday. So you guys might be familiar with this particular component diagram. So you guys remember last time we made a very simple Hello World app. This is the component hierarchy that we decided on, right? We have an upper level of app, and it passes something down to the grid components. What does it pass? Again, what does it pass? Property. Yeah, okay, thank goodness. Okay, so we learned something yesterday. And what lives inside the components? What lives inside the components? Alright, good. You guys are so unenthusiastic today. Oh my god. Alright, I'm gonna get you guys real hyped up because today we're doing a more spicy React app. And in particular, today we're building Snake in React. Oh yeah, we're getting more hyped now. Okay, so first things first. I want you to turn to your neighbor and introduce yourself. So I'm gonna demonstrate. Okay, ready? Hi, I'm Alex. What's your name? Okay, yeah, see, that's how it is. Alright, so we want you to have friends, especially during today's lecture, because it's going to go a little more fast-paced, you have a lot to cover, so having friends will help you a lot. So find a friend next to you, buddy up, introduce each other, and then talk about what kind of components you would want for a snake game. So what do you guys want inside your snake game? Go ahead, I'll give you guys 2 minutes. Alright guys, let's try to come back together now. So, let's see. What did you guys think? What kind of components do we have? Does anyone want to share particularly what they found? Anyone? You guys have a map, right? A snake? What about you? What do you think? Yeah, like some kind of grid going on, right? What else? Let's not worry about the order yet. Let's just figure out what we need to see, right? Food, yeah, some kind of like thingamabob to go after, right? Yeah, these are all like very important components. So yeah, you guys have probably seen this game, right? Slither, I know, this is a fun game, right? And you're exactly right. In this kind of game, you would want a snake component, right? The snake kind of takes care of itself and how it moves in space. Remember, when we talk about React, we really care about having each component take care of itself. So in this case, the snake would kind of take care of itself as it moved, right? But what about in a game like this, right? This kind of snake. Right? So in this kind of snake, the snake itself is kind of part of the grid, right? So it's no longer like, oh, the snake is a separate component. Now, whether a square is a snake square or not is like a property or a state, right? So what we want to learn from this is that in React, we build our code and structure our code based on what the user interface looks like, right? So it's not enough to say like, oh, we're going to build a snake game and it definitely needs a snake component. We need to figure out exactly what our snake game looks like first before we decide what the component hierarchy is. Does that kind of make sense? Cool. So in reality, I think we're building this one because I'm too lazy to code up actual snakes, right? So this one's a little easier. So we're going to build the one on the left. So I want you guys all to go to this nice link shortener. Okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to go and clone that directory, go inside, right? Run npm install, and then run npm run dev. What does npm run dev do? Yeah, it starts your Webpack server, right? And what is that not? Yeah, it's not your Express server. Good, 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 good. Just want to make sure you guys are clear on that. So I'll give you guys a few moments to get that up and running. And once you do have it up and running, you can go to localhost 5000 on your browser, and we'll see what shows up. If anyone has trouble like cloning your repository, we can come around and help you. And once you're done, why don't you open up localhost 5000 and look up so I know you're done and we can move on together. Hopefully we don't have any other errors today. That'd be kind of sad. You know, this thing won't have to yell anymore. It's a lot less fun. I can still yell. I can still say hi. Hey, yes?
My npm install didn't work.
npm install didn't work.
Saying there's no enoemp something.
So yeah, the npm install might take a while because you have to install all your packages from scratch. First time you npm install is always like kind of a struggle bus. Is anyone done already? Okay, good, good. That means that here's my code. Nice. So we'll wait like a few more. Does anyone else stuck? We're trying to figure that out. You got it? Oh, okay. Okay, so did everyone, are most people done? Can people like look up at me if you're done? Okay, okay, someone needs to go over there. Right. Okay, I see most people are looking up to this point. So what we're going to do is, so if you guys open up localhost 5000, what do you guys see? Does anyone want to tell me?
Grid.
Yeah, it's some home page, right? And then what happens when you press start and play? It's a grid, it's a grid. But why isn't there a snake on the grid? Okay, and you're going to be like, Alex, you give me a broken app. What is this garbage, right? And you'd be right. I don't want to give you a garbage app. But the problem is, right now, all we've run is the dev server, right? Our Webpack server. So all we're seeing is the front end, right? There's no logic going on. So the snake doesn't know how to walk, right? So what do we need to actually run to get our logic to work? It's the other server, right? Because, yeah, we need npm start. Because our Express server is the one that's handling all the logic. In most games, you want your logic to sit in your back-end Express server, right, and kind of just tell the front end what to do. So right now what I want you guys to do is run npm start, right, and then try, and see what kind of snaking we got. So give that a go right now. Oh, that's a great question. So in this case, you need to open up a separate terminal window. Okay? So you don't close your dev server because you need it to show your front end, right? Don't close dev server. Open up a separate window. So if you're on Windows, you open up a new Git bash window. If you're on terminal, you can open a new tab in your terminal and type in npm start. Okay? So now we have two servers running at once, right? And this is why we're so emphasizing this idea of what's your dev server and what's your Express server, because now you don't want to mix them up. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so give that a go. And once, yeah, make sure you're in the same directory and stuff, you know. But once you're done with that, why don't you guys open up Snake and give it a whirl and see what we got. Has anyone successfully gotten it yet? No? Okay. Oh, we got one person. Good. That means my code is working. Yeah, good question. So your dev server, the one that's showing your front end, is running on 5,000, right? So when you're developing, you want to be on 5,000. And when we actually deploy our code, we're going to deploy 3,000, right? But the 5,000 is hot loading, all those nice things that we want, right? So 5,000 is what you want to be on right now. There is a snake. Nice. It's WASD. WASD. Yeah. WASD. I forgot it was. Okay. So this is what we're going to be making in the next few days. Okay. So what I want you guys to do now is once you got your snake going, turn to your friend that you just made this morning, and I want you guys to talk through what you guys see in this game and come up with a component hierarchy for this game. Okay. So think about what states we would want, what components we would want, right? And talk it through with your partner. All right.
Wait, Alex, it's supposed to show up in the game.
No, they are.
Show up, you have
Did you know that? Well, no. What about coaching? If I get under 10, where you got that much fitness, get under like 10, and you die. Usually what happens is you do a twirl. You do a twirl, yeah. And you do a small one, small. You got one job, Larry. You got one job. Only you can stop this. Daniel slowly seeing the legend spin around. How many is that? I'm not going to do the game over. Not game over once we go to world, okay? It's a very short. Oh?
That's why he keeps hiding you.
You know how to do it.
Everybody seems to be on stage. So remember, talk through with your partner.
Yeah, we're 10. Now you want to listen to your command. What do you want me to do, Sir Daniel? You know what I'm doing. You want to do that? Go back off. So you are trying to intentionally.
Okay, once you guys have played that for a while, we'll come back together and talk about it. So give you guys like 10 more seconds. Make sure you have a component hierarchy.
I know there's a way you could like check which process you're right. I forgot. I don't want to do it.
Alright, since we're a little short on time, we're going to come back together now. So, guys, let's try to not play too much Snake while we're talking about component hierarchy. Don't worry, you'll be able to make it yourselves and then go home and play it to your parts. But what do you guys see? What kind of components do we want in our game? So first of all, what's the highest level component we want? App. Yeah, good. So we want app, right? Yeah. Okay. What about things that are below app? So what are the different sections of this web page that we should be thinking about? Right? What did you guys see when you guys were playing with it? Right? There were multiple buttons on the home page. You guys notice that? Right? So where do those buttons go? Any thoughts? Come on, you guys click the buttons, right? Someone up there. Someone over here in this section. What did you guys do when you clicked the button? One of the buttons took you somewhere, and the other button took you somewhere else. Where did it take you? Any thoughts? No? There's one that was the rules page. Very good. Cool, rules page. What was the other button? Yeah, there's a start. Good. Yeah, so there's a rule page and a start, right? So we can have those idea of, we have this game container, right? Which holds on to a game board, a home page, right? On the other side, there's some rules. Okay? And below the game board, what do we have? We have some idea of like game over, right? Did anyone manage to get themselves killed in this game? Okay, cool. Yeah, so what happens, you can see like game over thing, right? That's a component as well. And then under each game board, right, because a bunch of rows, and each row, there are cells, right? Okay, what other kinds of characteristics do we see in our snake game that are important to us? What do you need to make this user interface display the way it's displaying right now? What kind of states, what kind of properties? Any thoughts? Yes?
Whether or not it's a snake block.
Yeah. That's exactly right, right? Each block needs to know what it is, right? Is it a snake block? Is it a food block? Is it an empty block? That's great. That's great. What else? What else? There's one more that's reasonably like intuitive in thinking about like, well, it depends, right? Like the state and the property should change what we see on the page, right? So what different modes can be? Yes? Like the snake, right? That's good. But we can kind of represent that in the snake block thing. That's great. That's great. That's true, right? So again, the state of the snake, whatever that is, right? What else do we see? Right? The game isn't just a grid with blocks on it, right? Other things can happen. What other things can happen? Death can happen, yeah. Right? So yeah, I sound really excited about that, but no. So yes, we can see a game over modal, right? And when does that game over modal happen? Yeah, this thing touches itself and it dies, right? So there's a game over state, right? That's great. That's great. Yes. So today we're going to be focusing mostly on just the game board, right? And we already talked about the kind of reactive states and properties that we have going on, right? So we have this board content, right? Exactly like you said over here, right? So the idea of each board has everything that's going on within it, right? And then it passes the content of each row down as a property into each row. And then each row passes the contents of each cell down to each cell, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Does everybody follow this kind of logic? How we have all the data, the entire board's representation lives as a state in game board, and we pass down each row into the different rows, and then each row passes the contents of each cell down to the different cells, okay? So, why don't we have each cell hold its own state? So I might be asking, right? Because you're right in that each cell doesn't really care about the other cells, right? All it cares about is itself, right? It seems logical. Does anyone have a guess as to why we keep the board, the entire board, in the state of the game board instead of having states in each individual cell? Remember, the golden rule is that you only need to have it as high, right? What do you think? Right, so that logic needs to be somewhere, right? In our case, we actually handle it in the server. Right, so the server kind of holds onto all that logic, and that's a really good reason, and if it was all on the front end, we need to do that, right? But in actuality, what happens is the server has a representation of this board, so it kind of knows already. So we could, in theory, send all of our cells, each individual cell, right? But how many requests is that? How many sends is that? That's a lot of sends, right? You're sending one request to each cell, right? And you're telling it, here's what you are, here's what you are, here's what you are. Whereas instead, instead if we keep all the data in the top level component, all we need to do is send it once. We send the entire state once, and then the top level component manages the entire thing and passes it in. Right? Do you guys see how that's a more simple architecture? Right? If you have one component that manages that entire thing, you don't need to send it to each individual cell. Right? That top level guy kind of just passes it down to everybody else. And we only make one network request versus like a ton for each cell. Can you guys give me a thumbs up or thumbs down on how well we understood that part? See a lack of thumbs. Okay, this is good. Aaron said switch thumbs down, but besides that's fine. Okay, so we'll go into another more in depth on that in a second. So this is what our data actually looks like. Okay, and I know it looks kind of daunting, but basically a 0 represents somewhere where nothing is, right? And then a 2 is where our like food bingalob is, right? Where's that? And then the 1s are where the snake is. Okay. So this is the state that's held in board, in our game board, right? So what gets passed down into row 0? Does anyone know? What gets passed down into row 0 as a prop? Row 0, so the first one. Row 0. Yeah, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, this guy, right? And then row index 2 would get this guy. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, right? Everybody see that? And then what happens to the cell? Well, they get past one of these numbers instead, right? Instead of the right. Does everybody understand the game board representation here? So zeros are empty, ones are snake, and 2 is like food or whatever, right? Or goal. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to code this up. So if everybody could go and git checkout step 0 and do a quick npm install. Now, quick note, you'll need to do reset your server. So Control-C out of your server and then restart the server. Just because I didn't code node mod into this. Just uses node right now. So make sure I do that. And once you're there, I want you to go into this particular folder, source/component/game. This particular folder holds all the components that have to do with our game. So if you guys, when we go back here, it holds all these components here. Okay. So I organized it such that this particular folder holds all our game component stuff. Right. So it doesn't include like home page and stuff like that. So once everybody is there, we'll move on. If anyone has issues, staff will come around and help you.
Remember to kill your server and restart it.
Yeah, remember to kill your server and restart it. That'll help a lot. All right, give me a quick raise of hands. Who's already there? It's important you participate, because otherwise we're just not going to move on. I don't see enough hands. Okay, so we'll wait a little bit longer. Check back with you guys in like a minute.
We should be getting a blank screen now, right?
Yes, you should be getting a blank screen now. So you guys open up your localhost 5000, you will see a blank screen. That's because we haven't implemented anything yet. Right? So while we're getting there, let's do another poll. Who's there? Who's there? Okay, that's like around 60% of class. Okay. So does anyone have any issues going, like checking out step 0? Not go there. Just CDing this place. Cool. Okay. So I think most of us are getting there. If you aren't, why don't you raise your hand and staff will come around and help you. Okay. But for now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look around in the code. And in this next section, I don't want you guys to worry too much if you guys don't understand something. A lot of this staff has implemented for you, so we can focus on the React part. Right? So what staff has implemented is we've implemented all the game logic. So how the snake moves, what decides when it dies, things like that. We haven't implemented any of the component things. Right? So what shows up on the board, and when does the game over modal show up, things like that. Right? So none of the React stuff has been implemented. So in this particular function here, update board, we basically take some data from the server and we update the board with that data. And you can see here that there's this blank space, and we're going to fill that in later. Okay? And this is what happens when game over happens. Right? But basically all this does is it sets the state of our board to our new board. Okay? Up here, this is the constructor code for game board. Right? So if you look in gameboard.js, you can see that what we have is just some socket code, right? You guys remember socket? Remember what socket was? Give me a hand. Who remember what socket was? So yeah, we went over it very briefly yesterday, right? But basically socket allows us to communicate with our server back and forth, and that's very useful in games. So this socket code kind of just does that for us. Whenever you get an update game message, what you do is you just update the game. Okay, pretty simple. And again, this code, not that important to our React stuff. If you want to learn more about it, come to office hours, and we'd be happy to explain more in depth what it all means. And next, we have this idea of a key down bound, right? So this is what happens when you press certain keys. You press W, it'll emit a move, right? A, it'll emit another move, and S and D, same thing, right? So this just tells our server when we press a key. That's it. Empty board. What this does is it initializes a board for us. Okay? So at the very beginning, our board needs to be empty, right? So this just kind of creates a big array of zeros. That's all it does. Okay. Finally, the stuff you care about. This is the return function, the render function for our game board. Okay, and we're going to be filling this in later. Okay, next, let's open up row. I guess I can open up row. And you can see here that we basically just have a regular component, right? It has a constructor and it has a render, right? And then this class name here, board row, we've actually already written the class for you. So all the CSS and stuff has been implemented. And finally, cell. So you open up cell. There's one function called getCellClass. And what that does is when you input a 0, a 1, or a 2, what it will do is it will return the correct CSS class for that cell. So basically what cell empty is it just is a gray box. Cell my snake is a blue box, it's blue. And then cell my food is like a red box. That's all it does, okay? So it returns that string. That's all it does. And then if you give it a bad number, it'll return stat. But hopefully we never get that, right? Does everybody understand that? And it's okay, as long as you get a higher level understanding of what each of these functions do, we'll be happy to explain the specifics later to you guys, all right? So, let's initialize our state in GameBoard. So everybody opens back up gameboard.js. Okay, I'll give you guys a few moments to turn to your friends that you made this morning, and what I want you to do is I want you to initialize the state. Remember, what kind of state do we hold in GameBoard? Talked about this earlier, right? What do we hold? What do we hold? Someone over here, what do we hold? What do we hold in GameBoard? Anyone? How are you? What do you think? What do we hold in the GameBoard? Let's go back to this thing, right? So, what is all this garbage? It's an array, right? Array of what? Yeah, array numbers. What do they represent? Yeah, that's exactly right, right? We have some idea of board content, right? And that's what we want to initialize in our state here. Okay? So, what does the GameBoard actually have inside of it? Okay? So take a moment and turn to your friends around you and let's try to initialize this. And it should be called the board content camel case. Okay, camel case meaning C is capitalized. Board content. Okay, so I'll give you guys like a few moments. If you'll turn to your friends and get that done. Okay, does anyone have a guess as to what we should put in there? Anybody? What should we put in our state? What should we initialize it to? Yes? Yeah, we should initialize to the empty board, right? And sad. Happy, okay. Right, so we have this idea of board content, and what? We didn't put the solution up here. Oops. Okay, well, essentially what we want is we want board content. We want inside our state, what we want to see is we want to see this dot state. Did I ever get that part? I think I was filtering for you. Right. And we have these curly braces here, right? So what do we put as the name of our state? Board content, right? Yeah, exactly. Board content, and the C is capitalized. And then we put a colon, right, like we did last time in our Hello World example, and we do this dot empty board campuses. Board. Right? Did we get that? So we kind of follow what we're trying to do here. We're just initializing this state to an empty board. A thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah, okay, I see a lot of math. That's good. Okay, nice. This is easy, right? This is good. Okay, cool. So let's make the grid, right? Let's start initializing the grid. So check out this component tree. What do we have in board? We have board content already in our state, right? Now what we need to do is we need to pass something down as a property, right? What do we want to pass down? The row, we want to pass the row down, right? And in particular, we want to pass the row down in a property called row content. As we decided in our component tree, it's called row content. So remember, does anyone remember how to initialize properties inside of a React, like Grace thingamabob? What's the syntax? How do we do it? And we did this yesterday, very briefly. We did it. We passed like text down, right? So how do we do that? What do we stick inside of the braces? The HTML braces. What do we see? What do we leave in the braces? So remember, remember in our hello world code, right? We pass down text, right? So what do we insert inside the brace? We insert text equals something, right? Text equals something, and that's how we're going to insert properties. So why don't you guys try right now by yourselves? Go into your game board, right? And what we're going to do is we're gonna add we're gonna add a single row into our game board. Okay, does anyone remember how to declare a React component in render? We did this yesterday. Does anyone remember? It looks very similar to what you guys have done before, right? It kind of looks like an HTML tag, right? Someone give me how do you guys feel about initializing React components in render? Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, so I see some thumbs middles, some thumbs middles, okay, some thumbs downs. Okay, that's totally fine, right? Look, the point today is we're going to review it, so let's go over it together. So what do we see here, right? We see that inside this class, we just literally just put in row, right? And that's why React is great, is because we can just declare. We can say, here is a row, right? And inside this row, what do we put? What is this thing right here? What does this represent? The content? Which content? What part of the content? Yes, what part of the content? The first row of the content, right? If we oh, sorry, I know you guys are looking at it. If you look at the array, right? Remember that big array? Yeah, you know that big array that we saw earlier, right? The first row of that is just this, right? It's just this. And we pass down y equals 0 as well to tell us which row we're in. Right? Important information, right? How do we feel about that? Does that kind of make sense to everybody, how we pass these properties down? Yeah, people are kind of working, so no one's going to vote, but okay, that's fine. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to really understand what we're doing here, right? All we do is we declare one row, we pass the contents of that row down in a property called row content. And all we do, we say row content equals this stuff, right? And how we access that content inside of row? How do we access that content inside of row? It starts with this, right? This dot what? This dot props dot row content. This dot props dot row content. That's how we access row content inside this new property. And we're going to do that in a second, right? So once you guys feel like are we comfortable with this code right here? Does everybody kind of get this part? I want to make sure that we're going slowly enough so people kind of get it and don't get lost, right? I'll give you guys like another minute and we're just going to do a quick thumbs up, thumbs down and kind of get a grasp of where we are, okay? Any questions? No questions though? People are confused. Well, there's no question though. Oh, okay. No questions. That's good. I guess that's okay. You're moving too slow. So while people are implementing this, does anyone have any questions on what we've seen so far since we don't have a question doc? What questions do we have about React? Are we all confused? Does this syntax look okay to people? Do we understand what's going on? Yes? Yeah, good question. Does the 0 have to be in curly braces? Yes, it does. I think. In general, so strings don't. Right? So what I will say is that it never hurts to put in curly braces. The different style guides of React will tell you different things. Some style guides will be like, always wrap your stuff, all your properties in curly braces. But some will be like, it's okay if you don't. If you're stuck, just wrap it in curly braces, it'll work. Yes?
Why don't you close the bracket on row?
It's closed down here. You see that close?
Why are you putting a something like an attribute?
Oh, right.
No, it's okay. Ask the question. It's a good question. It's a good question. You're asking why we don't have like a closed row brace, right? And then why we can't just stick these in here willy-nilly, right? Is that the question? Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So in HTML, one thing you guys might have seen is very, very early in our lectures, we had some like image tag, right? And we did this. You guys remember that? This thing? Right? So this is basically shorthand. So what it does is like, we don't really have anything in between it, right? All we care is the props are passed in as like this, right? So we could write this row out like the other way, but generally in React we write it like this. Okay, so this side auto closes it. And the reason that is because if you guys look at a div, right? It kind of looks like this. Right? Like div, right? And then it kind of like move this over and then it turns into this. It's just shorthand syntax. Does that kind of make sense? So in React, when you declare a component, all you have to do is write it like that, and that'll do it. That's a great, great question. Are there any other questions? I'm loving these questions. Yeah, I know. I see it's a great question. I just want to encourage you guys a lot. Yes?
Why you didn't do that with div?
Why did we do it with div? That's a good thing to ask. Alright, yeah, why don't we do it with div? So the reason we don't do it with div is because there's something in between div. Right? So there is a row that sits between these two divs. Right? Whereas if we declare the row, as it is right now, oh, piazza.com/events, that's cool. Alright. Nope, come down. There we go. If we declare the row the way we did with the div, it would just look like this. It would look like row. There's nothing in between it. Oops. Sad. It'll look like this, right? If we declare it in that syntax, and there's nothing here, right? There's nothing here. And in this div, you can see there's stuff in between, right? So we actually need to open it and close it. That's why. Yeah. I was gonna say that's a good question again, but decided I got flamed too much for it. All right, yeah, that's great. So can someone give me a hands? Who's done with this part? Kind of everybody done? Okay, good. Thank goodness. Okay. So I understand this can be a little bit confusing, so we're gonna try to move slowly. Now what we're gonna do is now we're gonna go into the row component. So go to row.js, and that's our row component, remember? And let's try to implement and declare just a single cell. Okay, so just a hint, it should look pretty similar to this, right? Instead of row content, though, what do we have as the problem? Yeah, it should be called cell content, right? It should be called cell content. And we pass in the same y, right? And we also have pass in an x, right? What's our x going to be initialized to for now? 0. Yeah, let's just call this 0 cell. I mean, we could initialize like the 5th cell if you really wanted to, but for now, standard. Let's just initialize this 0 cell, right? So we have 3 properties that we're passing in: cell content, x, and y. Right? And together with your partner, try to figure out what the syntax should look like. And I'm gonna leave this up here. So we kind of, is that good, or do you guys want this slide?
Yes.
This slide? Okay, good. Okay. So yeah, give it a try. You know, the React it gets a lot easier once you do it a few times. You kind of just keep making components, and eventually it'll all become clear. So why don't you guys give that a try, and we'll get back together in a moment.
Hey Alex, should we see anything on our Webpack server if we go to localhost 5000 after we've coded this up?
Great question. Okay. No, you shouldn't. That's because we haven't initialized cell yet, right? So we haven't written the render code for cell. So right now cell isn't rendering, right? So again, the hierarchy that we have to render is board, row, and then cell. Right now we're rendering row. Okay. Yes. My good friend up here.
I just need some help from someone from staff.
Sorry, one more time?
I just need the staff to help me.
Oh, you need staff to help you. Shannon, go. Okay, I see most people are still working, but I'm not sure if you guys are on Facebook or working. I'm just going to assume working. So I want to move on when most people are done. So once you're done, why don't you guys try to like, give me a glare or like some eye contact, like thumbs up, give me an evil eye or something. Okay, see some evil eyes there. Yeah, all right, nice. So you shouldn't see anything yet. Okay, don't worry. We're gonna pull the solution up and we'll hopefully see something in a little bit very soon. Okay, I'll wait maybe like a minute or so. Okay, get that all. It's okay if you guys don't get it at this point, right? Take writing components takes practice. So we're doing it together right now. I tried to realize your reading says school to 6. I don't know how I feel about that. Man, you guys really don't like your friends, do you? When I wrote this code, I was just jabbing to Shannon the entire time. She got sick of me. So I'm jabbing. Oh, sorry. Hi, Melody. Are you done? You look pretty sleepy. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll try to make my workshop more interesting. So React is super. See, now I have a microphone, so I can't even like be like, all the place this thing. I don't know. You guys feel like it works? I feel like it's kind of worse. It's kind of boring. Maybe it's just I'm doing a workshop. Workshops are all kind of like I just watch you guys code. I jab a little more. All right. Can you look at me a thumbs up or thumbs down? Is where we are. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay, I see mostly thumbs up. Cool. All right, nice. It's okay if you're not done yet. Let's take a look at what we. Ooh, there we go. Right. Okay. So we have something like this: x equals 0, y equals this.props.y. Cell content equals this.props.row content of 0. Right. So this one is a little confusing, right? So who just put 0 here? Because that's like the intuitive way to do it, right? Yeah, makes sense, right? You just kind of put 0 there. But remember, we passed down y, right? Y is passed down as a property. So we can just directly access it here. And that's good for us, right? Because remember, if this happens that we're in row 0, but if we're in row 3, you want this guy to be 3, right? So you just kind of pass it down as this.props.y. Does everybody follow me so far as to how we make this cell component? Cool. So I know we're going to go a little bit slow. I just want to make sure we don't lose anyone, okay? Awesome. So now let's actually go into the cell. So let's go to cell.js. Okay, and we're almost there, I promise. I know all this is just written components, but we're almost there. So if you go to cell.js, inside you'll see an empty div, right? You guys all see the empty div? Did I not see the empty div? Okay. All right. Inside the empty div, we just need to give it a class, a correct HTML class. And handily enough, I've given you a function to get that class for you, right? And remember, we covered this very briefly yesterday, but how do we initialize HTML classes in React syntax? Because it's not the same as just saying class equals, right? It's something else. It's class name. Yes, good job. It's class name, right? It's not class. So you have to say class name equals something, right? And you probably want to use the function getSetClass, just after that. So why don't you guys give that a little try? All right, turn to your friends and give that a try. Alex?
What's the difference between the game board state and properties?
Game board state and properties. I was about to say good question. So, do we have any properties in game board? If we go all the way back, do we have any properties in game board? We don't, right? And that's because it handles all the state. And we could have properties. Remember, properties are passed which way? Down, yeah, exactly. You guys are so sick of that. But you'll remember it, I promise. So yeah, properties are passed downwards. We could pass properties in a game board, right? So its parent, which is actually game container, could pass properties in. But in this case, what we're doing is setting up the game board right now, right? So we're just initializing the state in game board and passing it downwards as properties. Okay? So properties are always passed downwards. So right now our top level component is kind of game board, so it doesn't really have any properties. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. If you're confused, please raise your hand and I'll be happy to address that further. Are you happy? All right, how are we feeling about this so far? Can we get a thumbs up or thumbs down as to how people are doing with their cells? Some thumbs and a lot of no thumbs. All right, good. We'll wait a little bit longer. No worries. And don't worry if you don't get this just quite yet, but you can test to see if you have gotten it by opening up localhost 5000, and you'll see a very, very underwhelming single cell. This one little dude is kind of chilling. All right, and that's what you'll see. If you did it right, okay? And if you didn't, we'll come back and help you. Don't worry, it'll all be fine. Yeah, it's very underwhelming, but I promise it'll get cooler. It'll get cooler. So I'll give it another minute or so. If you're done, you can play with your single cell. You really feel adventurous. Do whatever you want. So, all right, how are people doing? Did everybody get the cell? Or try to make an attempt and completely fail? That's totally fine, by the way. All right. No, it's okay. I see some notes, and I get the notes. So the issue looks something like this, right? So the class name, right, equals this dot get cell class, right? And what we pass in? The cell content, right? Remember, what is this cell content? What is it represented as? Is it yeah, it's a number. Yeah, it's a number, right? So this dot get cell class will return a different string that represents a class based on the number. And you might be like, Alex, what are these X and Y shenanigans that are going on back here? And this is just good practice, right? And the reason why we make sure all our cells have an X attribute and a Y attribute is so that we can access them easier in the future if we need to find them. Right? This way, if you open up your Chrome inspector and you look in your Chrome inspector, it's not just boom, 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 10 rows of cells, right? And they don't have identifiers. So when you open up Chrome inspector now, it'll tell you oh, X equals this, Y equals this. So it's easier to figure out which stuff you're on. Does that kind of make sense? It doesn't actually do anything functionally for the game itself, but it does help us in our debugging. Okay, I'll give you guys a moment to take a look at that. Right? Does anyone have any questions on how we got here? Because what we really did, it's quite amazing. We made a multi-level React app, right? We started at the top level of board, we passed it into row, which passed it into cell, which then rendered something different based on all that information. Right? Now you can really see the tree going on here. Right? And actually, what we've really done already is it's not that interesting because we've done a board, right? Oops, this is actually a game board. And below the game board, we have one row. And below the row, we have one cell. Right? So in a moment, we'll make it more cells, preferably, right? But for now, it's just one. So if you guys open up localhost 5000 with this code, you should see your single cell. Okay, how many of us see a single cell already? Oh, good, that's great. Okay, yeah, it's very boring, right? It's just one cell. So, but we're gonna expand it just now in 1 second, okay? So how can we make more cells? Does anyone have any ideas? Any thoughts? No? All right. What? Nothing. All right, sounds good. Nothing is not the correct answer, by the way. Yes?
In Gboard, you need to make more rows, like have a loop and make more rows than just the one and same row.
That's exactly right. We can make more rows, right? And then inside each row, we can just declare more cells, right? And then our image is going to go from here to, like, you know, more rows, right? And then each one can have more cells, right? And actually, we're going to get a lot more cells if we just, right? If we do 4 rows and 4 cells, then we're going to have 16 total cells. Does that kind of make sense? So what I want you guys to do right now, the idea of a for loop is amazing and great, and we're going to do that tomorrow, actually. But right now, what I want you to do is I want you to just open up to, or actually, oh, this is the one cell. If you haven't gone here already, just go ahead and check out step 1, right? And if you already have a cell, don't worry, you don't have to check out step 1. Right? And what we want to do is we want to render 4 cells in a single row. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, for now, let's copy paste, right? Let's just copy paste. And I believe in your ability to copy paste. But remember, now that we're rendering 4 cells in a row, you can't just pass in row 0, right? You can't pass in this dot props dot row content of 0 for each one, because they're all different cells, right? What do we pass in instead? What do we pass in instead? Instead of 0 for each one, you pass in 0 and then 1 and then, exactly, you guys got it, right? Yeah. And then same thing for x value, right? You need to pass in 0, 1, 2, 0. So give that a try now, right? And then let's open up your board and what do you see? Okay, so give that a try. Yes?
Why don't we use an array of that stores?
Right, we will. In fact, we're going to do it tomorrow with a function called map. Okay, and Corey talked very briefly about map. And tomorrow, Shannon's going to teach you guys how we can use map. That's very commonly used in React components to kind of render all these things at once. And that's really good. Yeah, copy pasting in general is not a great option, right? For example, the final one that you guys saw that we started with earlier today had 30 rows and 30 columns. Right? We don't want to copy paste 30 times. It seems annoying. So, yes, tomorrow Shannon will go through all that with you guys. Great. Okay, who here sees four cells? Nice. I see a few. All right, how about, it should look something like this, right? Right? So again, we just pass in y, because y doesn't change, right? It's still row 0, right? And then we pass in a different value for x every time, and a different value for the row content index every time. Does everybody follow where I got so far? Does anyone have any questions about what we've seen so far? Okay. Most people are following what we've seen in React? Okay, I see some nods, that's good. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to try to do the same thing except for the rows, right? So let's make 4 rows, right? Let's render 4 rows. So go back into your gameboard.js and do the same thing, except instead of using cells, now we're using rows. And once you're done with that, open up localhost 5000 and you should have a reasonable playable game. You have 4 rows, 4 columns, right? And they're all running around. The problem is your grid's kind of small, right? So you're going to get yourself killed pretty fast. But, you know, it's still a snake game. That's pretty cool. Okay? I'll give you guys a second to go out and do that. Oh, just out of curiosity, how many of you guys are making games as IAP? Okay, not too many. Oh, just kidding. All right, cool. I'm just curious. That doesn't have to do anything with this. I just thought that a lot of people play through games because like pressing a key, right? Like last year it was back to the roots. Like, what does that even mean? What? So I don't know. I feel like this year pressing a key seems very conducive to like making typing games or whatever. It's a great theme. It's a great game. Good job, Spencer. Did you choose something? Did Jessica chose something? Back to the roots.
Back to the roots.
Slava. Classic Slava. Alright, does anyone here see 4x4 already? Wow, a lot of the class. Great job. Good job, good job. Yeah, so now we have a playable game, right? Very good. And don't worry if you're not there. We're going to take a quick look at the solution now. So, yeah, it looks pretty much, it's very similar, right? Now, you guys might be like, oh my god, Alex is teaching us bad coding practices. And Sips is going to be like, Alex is a bad coder. But, you know, we're just, oh my lord. We're just, you know, teaching you guys how to start this with copy paste. And tomorrow, Shannon's going to be a good coder and teach you how to do it with math. And then we're going to make a full 30 by 30. It's going to be awesome. Okay? But for now, just this. Now, if you haven't got there, it's okay. What you can do is, oh, this is how you start. You guys already know by now. You can just check out complete-a-1, and that should get you up to speed with the rest of us. Before we go into some announcements and then some questions maybe, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you guys a brief rundown of what these next few days with React will look like, right? So you guys might be thinking, like, Alex, we have a working game now, right? And life is good. But in React, there's a lot of more things we can explore, right? So in the next few days, tomorrow, Shannon's going to come and we're gonna use map to render those components for us. And it's going to look a lot shorter, a lot simpler, and you should all use those in your apps as well. And then we're going to add homepage, so that homepage that you guys saw with the buttons and stuff is going to get added, as well as a game over global. So that's tomorrow. Okay? And the day after, what we're going to do is we're going to add the rules page. And when you guys open the apps for the first time, you guys might see when you click rules, the browser actually went to /rules. Right? It went to /rules. And in what we've learned so far, like in Express, right? How do we know that we're at /rules? Well, it's because we hit an endpoint, right? So like /views, /rules, right? And it sends back some HTML, right? That's how Express works. But we're in React now, right? And backend is for scrubs, right? So what we do, yeah, I'm a front-end engineer, I'm pretty back-end. So and what we do in React is we have what's called a browser router. React will implement this for you. And what happens is that Express is no longer involved in any of your routes. Okay, so when you go to /rules, it's actually Express that's rendering it for you. And we're going to get into that on Thursday. And it's very cool and very, very nice for us as programmers to be able to do paths on the front end. Okay? So that's our next few days. Does anyone have any questions on what we've gone through so far today? Or on React in general? No? You guys all got it? Can I get a thumbs up or thumbs down how what we understood today? Okay, so some mostly thumbs up, some middles. Okay. Does anyone want to share what they're confused about? And it's okay if you don't. You know, there are office hours in Piazza for a reason. But yes?
Why couldn't we just use a for loop to do all of those rows?
We can. We absolutely can. In fact, I kind of underestimated how long it took you guys to do this. So you guys were really great and finished it very fast. I thought we wouldn't have time to go through the whole for loop spiel. So first, we actually had for loops in this workshop, but then I decided to push it to tomorrow. So tomorrow, in React, we don't actually use for loops usually, we use map. And the reason that is because it's shorter, and generally we're mapping over some data, right? Because, yeah, you know, you saw it today, right? It's all about the data and stuff, right? So Shannon's gonna actually show us how we do that tomorrow. So I'd say that's a great question. All right, any other questions? Cool, okay, so have fun with your app. It'll be cool. Next time, we're making a larger board with more pages and such. And you have a reminder, make sure you've completed milestone 1. So raise your hand if you've completed milestone 1. Nice, I'm glad. I have not completed milestone 1. So I did complete it now. But yes, make sure you've completed milestone 1. If you haven't, reach out to us. We'll be happy to give you assistance. Otherwise, this man will come looking for you. Cool. So, without further ado,
Yeah. So I think what the plan is we're just going to spend 30 minutes. I think Rapine doesn't mind just doing some Bootstrap demos because it seemed like people were interested for it. So this is putting Rapine on the spot. So if there are technical difficulties, blame me. Don't blame Rapine.
Blame me